Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta. My name is Barbara Bowen, and I'm your worship associate for this last Sunday service for 2020. Thank goodness. We're really glad for all of you who have stuck with us through this year as we've struggled with the new technology and trying to keep us all connected. Thank you for your patience and devotion. We look forward to being together again in person in the hopefully not too distant future. I know I personally am looking forward to when we can all be singing together again. But until then, please feel free to join in from home with our music director, David Netches. Our opening hymn will be My Life Flows On in Endless Song, which will be followed by a few announcements from our board secretary, Marcia Frank.
My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the ring, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Though all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice, both far and near, how can I keep from singing? No prison cannot keep from singing.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Frank, and I'm currently the board secretary. There's been a change to the registration currently for these services on Zoom. Currently, we're registering once a month to attend, and good news is once you register once in January, you're good all the way through March. So the registrations are going to last for once for every 3 months. Today, for visitors, we welcome you visitors today. There's coffee with the minister after the service at noon. If you would like to join the minister for talking and just getting to know us a little bit better. There's going to be a link in the chat for that. Today's Social Justice Committee meeting has been canceled. That's just for today. This afternoon, though, at 7 o'clock, will be Fourth Sunday Full Moon Vespers, and that's going to be a hybrid event. So you can come to the church, or you can do it on Zoom and talk to Jezebel and Nat for more information about that. On Tuesday, December 29th, the Shepherd Blood Center is going to hold a blood drive there at our church, and it's going to be in the common room. All CDC and church COVID guidelines will be followed. You can make an appointment by calling the Shepherd Blood Center, or you can go online and make an appointment for that. You'll get a free long sleeve t-shirt and a voucher for a free medium Marco's Pizza for every donor. And there are more details in the announcements. Our church remains tenuously in phase 3 of its reopening guidelines, and that allows groups of less than 15 to meet at the church. But cases are rising throughout the country, and if the weekly moving average goes up, then we'll go back to phase 2. But so far, it's remained on a plateau, so we stay in phase 3. And Ted Newton reminds us to please get immunized against the seasonal flu. It's our best defense to prevent getting the flu for those ages 6 months and older. Continue to perform hand hygiene measures, wear your face covering when outside your home, socially distance, and stay home when sick. Thank you, and back to you, Barbara.
Our chalice lighting for this morning is from Henry David Thoreau. I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not, when I come to die, discover that I have not lived. Now a member of our pastoral care team will receive our joys and sorrows. For these and all those joys and sorrows that we cannot know, and for the others in our community. Now onto our meditation. 2020 is finally coming to an end. And I know we're all glad to be seeing it go. But as we look back on this year, we need to take a step away and get some perspective, because surely there are lessons to be learned and even things to appreciate once we're not right in the middle of it, just trying to get through. The astronauts who get to go to the International Space Station say the greatest thing about getting to look down on Earth is that it looks different from that perspective. What's important is very changed from that far away. So for today, let's see if we can take that step back and get that perspective. I'd like you all to just relax your bodies, gentle your breathing, and just let all those stresses that weigh you down flow away with the breath. Just step back and relax. Breathe evenly and let your mind float. We are just a speck in a big universe, and our troubles are nowhere near as great as they appear. As we return from the sublime to the mundane, as we pass out of this old year into the challenges of the new, our members and our friends have done a lot to support this church this year to continue our mission into 2020. We thank you all for that. You now have one last opportunity to contribute to that mission and incidentally, increase your tax deduction for 2020. If you'd like to donate, you can do so online at the address appearing on our screen. And thank you all for your support during this past year.
I have a proposal as we begin the new year, especially after what we've been through this past year, pandemic, political insanity, and now those poor people in Nashville. And as we all know, the list can go on and on. It's been a trying year. Anyway, my proposal is this. Instead of making bold resolutions, let us admit our irresolution in the face of the anxiety, the ambiguity, the ambivalence of living. You live and learn, then you die and forget it all. The skeptic in me loves this phrase. It's actually the title of a book by William Ferris. He was a livestock trader and auctioneer. My colleague, the late Clark Wells, states our predicament in his prayer at New Year. I send no wish to the impossible or prayer to maybe, perhaps. No promise birthing pretense, despair, or longing that sighs like a rack. In a world mad with our choosing, the warfare this year will glare, and mornings will turn to darkness, and most will be worse for the wear. So I wish you simply endurance, luck among the mines and snares, respite for some shining at the table, less pain than you're able to bear. With this, an occasional glance into others' eyes that care, a minimum of broken lances, and a heart still able to swear. Now, here are words of advice reflecting our need for modest expectations in the year ahead. There is no piety of bold resolutions here. Instead, there is a skeptical, though not cynical, suggestion of what the year might bring. A little humility is not a bad thing. When I reflect on my ministry, I recall more often than not mistakes made, lessons learned. I feel caught in an interim phrase. I never quite seem to get it right. Isn't living itself an interim thing? Between two great eternities, one our birth, the other our death. What is more, that interim time is far too short to learn much of anything about the world, about ourselves, about our loved ones, about life. And what little we do learn seems to disappear into the great unknown along with us. You live and learn, then you die and forget it all. We never quite seem to get it right. But I can't leave it at that, not as the new year is about to begin. I would like to cheer the interim people, the people who are always between things, between times, between stages, between rites of passage. This does, I believe, include all of us. Rites of passage conveying the Janus-like quality of the new year. Janus is the world god of doors. Rites of passage can help us look forward or back. They can reflect the joy of childhood or the poignancy of death. They can celebrate the union of two people in love or can mark the death of a cherished relationship. They can note the beginning of something beautiful or its end. Most of our lives are lived in the interim between rites of passage. Living is an enterprise we never quite get right. Either we are ruminating on the past or anticipating the future, never quite sure just where we are in the great scheme of things. Take Charlie Brown, who consults Lucy at her 10 cents a shot psychiatric booth. She tells him that life is like a deck chair on a cruise ship. Passengers open up their canvas deck chairs as they sit down in the sun. Some people, she says, place their chairs facing the rear of the ship so they can see where they've been. Other people face their chairs forward. They want to see where they're going. Looking sternly at him, she says, on the cruise ship of life, Which way is your deck chair facing? And Charlie Brown answers, I've never been able to get one unfolded. At such times, we need words to live by of those who are wiser than us. Consider Mel Brooks. Hope for the best, expect the worst. Life is a play, we're unrehearsed. That is the problem of it all. We're unrehearsed. We have very little training for being interims, people who are between rites of passage. We are thrown out here into space and time without preparation, or at least without very much of it. We have to learn how to live with a kind of on-the-job training. We never seem to get it right. We live and learn, and then we die and forget it all. Typically, we spend a great deal of time and energy exploring the past, where we've been, where we went wrong. However, even as we look to the past, we are living our lives into the future. Some 300 years ago, the Christian theologian Soren Kierkegaard said, life can be only understood backwards, but it can only be lived forwards. A different concern is sounded by Phyllis Theroux in her memoir, California and Other States of Grace. I wonder now whether accomplishments have any real significance as the world defines them. I suppose they do, or at least we're inwardly urged to create things to prove that we were around a few years. But beneath the books, music scores, and brilliant conceptions we foist upon the world, perhaps our real accomplishments lie elsewhere. In a conversation we can't remember having, a small relationship that gets someone else believing in something more powerful than self-doubt. Most often, we sell ourselves short. We are too hard on ourselves. We are too exacting, too demanding, too judgmental. We fail to recognize our worth. We fail to realize the meaningfulness of what we have done and are doing and will do. Living is something we never quite get right and never will. That is the tragedy and the glory of being human. We do live and learn, though it is never quite enough. It is not enough for our own negotiation of existence, not enough to confidently pass on words of wisdom to those who follow. Then we die and forget it all. Maybe, maybe not. There are those upon whose shoulders we stand, whose lives have left us taller than we would have been without them. They are gone, but something of what they lived and learned is in us, and something of what we have lived and learned will be in those who follow. I have a strange notion of immortality. It includes the impact of our lives upon those whom we have touched. We are part of a great stream of life. This stream is far greater than we are, but one in which we have poured the living waters of our being. While we cannot muster logical proof for it, or while I cannot muster logical proof for it, I believe that nothing we say or do is lost in the great scheme of things. Our love, our commitment, our courage does not disappear with us, but lingers on in the cosmic order. Things are different because we are here. Life then is far from futile. In the words of the psalmist, I will incline my ear to proverb, I will solve my riddle to the music of the harp. Translated, I will relish the learning of my living and celebrate each day my good fortune to be alive. And so, my prayer at the new year is simply this: live deeply, learn much, do not wallow in the past, face the future unafraid, We are only here for a short visit. Don't hurry, don't rush. Don't forget to smell the roses along the way. And don't forget to get your vaccination. Have faith in the long year given us, the new year given us. It is a blessing, and we are blessed. Blessed be, and amen.
Our closing hymn is hymn number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time. The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or stay. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips into the past, and dreamlike melts away. With a breaking tomorrow's dawn begins a new day. The past and future ever meet in the eternal now, to make each day a common plea shall be our New Year's vow.
From the American writer Annie Dillard. There is no shortage of good days. It is good lives that are hard to come by. Life of good days lived in the senses is not enough. The life of sensation is the life of greed. It requires more and more. The life of the spirit requires less and less. Time is ample and its passage sweet.
Our postlude today is by Scott Joplin.